The island was far behind them, yet its story had only just begun to travel the world. Stories move faster than ships. Long before the last coin had settled into its final chest, whispers of our voyage began to spread. At first, only a few sailors in distant ports spoke of it. Rumors of an island, a hidden cave, a crew divided by greed and saved by chance. Then the whispers grew. In taverns near the docks, men spoke of buried gold and mutiny. They spoke of a ship that vanished and returned again. They spoke of a boy who had outwitted pirates and a one-legged captain who had vanished with a smile. Like all sea stories, the truth bent easily. Some said the treasure was 10 times greater than it truly was. Others claimed ghosts guarded the island. A few insisted that Flint himself still wandered the jungle, waiting for fools to return. I heard these tales from time to time when passing through the harbor. I never corrected them. Let stories grow, I thought. Let them drift like ships across distant waters. Truth, after all, is only one version of memory. Life settled into its new rhythm. The inn no longer felt small to me. It felt steady. The cliffs above the sea felt less like an edge and more like a boundary between past and present. Yet sometimes, when travelers stopped for the night, I would hear new versions of our story. A sailor from the north swore he had met a man in a far-off port. A man with one leg who spoke of treasure and betrayal with a careful grin. Another traveler claimed that a pirate captain matching Silver's description had purchased a small ship somewhere beyond the southern seas. None of these stories could be confirmed. All of them felt possible. I did not search for him. Men like Silver exist best in motion. Catch them and they become ordinary. Leave them free and they remain legend. One evening, as autumn settled and the air grew cooler, I stood again by the shore. The horizon stretched wide and empty. No sails, no storms, only the steady rhythm of waves. For a moment, I imagined a distant ship crossing that line. A familiar figure leaning on a crutch, watching another coastline approach. Perhaps he had changed his name. Perhaps he had not. Perhaps he would gather a new crew one day. Or perhaps he would finally rest. The world is wide enough for both possibilities. The treasure we had brought home was slowly woven into ordinary life. It paid for repairs, for comfort, for futures that would have been difficult without it. Yet its presence did not define us. The voyage had already done that. I learned something in the months that followed. Treasure is not what keeps stories alive. Stories survive because they are told, because they travel from one voice to another, changing shape as they go, because somewhere, someone listens and imagines themselves in the place of those who lived them. Our story had already begun that journey. It would reach ports we would never see. It would grow in ways we could not predict. It would become larger than the island itself. And that, perhaps, was the final transformation. The treasure had been buried. The treasure had been found. The treasure had been divided. But the story would continue. I turned from the shoreline and walked back toward the warm lights of home. The sea remained behind me, endless and patient. Somewhere beyond that horizon, ships would sail tomorrow. Maps would be drawn. Dreams would begin. And perhaps in some distant tavern, a one-legged sailor would lift a glass and smile, knowing that as long as stories are told, he will never truly vanish.